our virtual webinar with Candi Ruppert. My name is Jennifer Reed. I'm the Director of Sales here at the Blake at Edgewater. And I just felt like so many families that I talk to are constantly overwhelmed with the logistical part of how to move a loved one, whether it's your parent, an aunt, or maybe you're helping out a neighbor or a friend. So not only are you looking into making healthcare choices for them, but you also have to maybe deal with the logistical part of their home, their stuff. How do you downsize? How do you make everything fit? And also everyone's happy at the end. That's the end result, is being happy with your choices and your decisions you've made. So I would like to introduce Candi Ruppert to you. She's a certified professional organizer and a great speaker, wonderful leader in the community. I met her through Business Sorority, and also I've done business with her, and she's helped many families out. And she's also a mom, a working mom. So Candi, here you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. That is a very lovely introduction. And you also are a working mother and kind of taking care of all of it. So thank you everyone for attending today. We're just going to go through 3 tips for downsizing. So as Jennifer mentioned, when you're getting to that point in life where you're going to be transitioning out of the home that you've lived in for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and moving into a smaller space, whether it be in a senior community or with family, no matter where it is, you're going to have a lot of stuff to deal with. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Jennifer, you want to go into the next slide, please? Thank you. So just a little bit about me so you know who we're talking with here. My name is Candi Ruppert. I am a certified professional organizer. I own Sage Organizing Company here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And as you can see from some of my logos there, I'm a member of NAPO, which is the National Organization of Organizing Professionals, Faithful Organizers, which is a faith-based organizer group, Carolina Organizers, and a lot more. So I've been in this business for about 5 years, and I've truly made it my life's work to not only help families when they're in a time of need, but to make a difference in the community, whether it's through donations or helping family, whatever it is. This is what I'm here for. So let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk about downsizing. Jennifer? So this is a quote I heard years ago, and it really resonates with me. Your home is a museum of your life. So when you look around your home, all of us can say every single thing in this house has some sort of memory attached to it, some sort of emotion attached to it, whether it's the china that your grandmother handed down to you, to the couch that you bought when you were newly married. And of course, you always have all the things from your children as they've grown up through the years. So when it's time to start taking that entire collection that is a museum and whittling it down to the things that truly, truly matter to you, it can be tough. It can be very emotional. It can be scary. It can make you a little bit mad. Sometimes people will be, I can't believe I let all of this build up. But all of that is completely normal. So what do you do? Like, what are those 3 tips and tricks that you need to get through this process? Let's look at tip number 1. Jennifer? Okay, now here's a big one. Schedule your work session. So everyone has the best intentions. Not about this test room today. This is what I'm going to do. But then maybe a friend comes over for a cup of coffee. Maybe the weather is bad that day. Maybe you just don't feel like it. The trick that I really suggest to 100% of my clients is schedule your work sessions when you're going to work on these things, just like it was a doctor's appointment, just like it was any other thing that you were putting on your schedule, and stick to that schedule. Now, when I say that too, you wouldn't set a doctor's appointment for a 6-hour period, hopefully. Give yourself a little bit of grace. You know yourself. You know if you can work for 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. Don't overdo it. Going through all of your items in that museum of your life is physically difficult, it's emotionally difficult. So cut yourself a little bit of slack and give yourself just a couple short work sessions. Whether it's maybe I'm going to do 1 work session in the morning and another one in the evening, or maybe just 1 a week. Whatever works for you, put it on your schedule, and stick to that schedule. So let's take a couple looks, a couple before and after pictures here. Okay, so this is all the pictures that are going to be in this presentation are an actual home of a family. They had lived in the house, I want to say, for 43 years, if I remember correctly. And to walk in, it was neat as a pin. When you look behind the closets, the homeowners had saved every memento from their life over those 43 years in that home. And so when it was time to move, they were going to be moving closer to their children. It was so overwhelming. It was just getting them so worked up, and they were embarrassed and overwhelmed and not sleeping. So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to schedule a session. And this, what you're looking at here, is one-day session of myself and one of the homeowners working together. Now, it was an older couple. She was in poor health and used a walker. So it was very mentally sharp and able to help me go through everything. And the husband, it was 80% blind. So we really had to make our time together count. So I figured out what time of day they were both the most alert. Both of them, they slept in a little bit in the morning. So I didn't want to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning and get them out of bed and get them working. So I said, well, let's start at 10. That gave them time to get up before the day started. And we would set up little chairs around this closet right here so they could sit there and watch me go through the closet, because there were a lot of things we had to pull out and look at. Over the course of that day, I think we did 4 hours, if I remember, on this closet. We said we're going to do this in 4 hours, and we're going to try to get through it in 4 hours. Well, I was hustling. I'm not going to lie. I was hustling to get through that because every one of those boxes was completely full. But at the end of that 4 hours, we were done. So making that session count, scheduling it, and knowing we're just going to tackle this one project today makes a huge difference. Let's take a look at that one.
Candi, I think that's wonderful suggestion. And I deal with families all the time who are just really anxious about, how am I going to get through all this? And, my mom won't even let me talk to her about getting rid of anything. And so I really tell them, let's work on getting your loved ones set up with being safe and having their healthcare needs met. And then you can deal with the house later. And if that doesn't happen, then let me get someone involved like yourself to go in and kind of be more the other person. It kind of takes it away from the children to be like, having to go through everything when the parents sometimes don't want their children going through it. So I like that you set up a little station with 2 chairs for them to be involved, because it wasn't just like someone else doing it for them. They had you helping them.
Absolutely. And we were able to talk through things. They were comfortable. It was funny. I had little water bottles there, and about every 30 minutes, I took some water, and I'm like, you two drink too, because I wanted to keep, it's kind of a process. So we really had to kind of support each other and keep all of us involved at the same time.
Excellent. Okay. Next slide.
Please. Okay. Same home. Have supplies ready. So on the day that we were going to tackle this closet, we knew we had a big day in front of us. I believe we scheduled 6 hours for this closet. Now, knowing that I was going to work on that closet, you can see there was quite a bit of inventory in there. And we had to know what we were going to do with it. We're going to talk about that in the next sequence. But I also had to have my supplies ready. I knew I was going to need garbage bags or disposals. We ended up donating so many pieces of clothing that were kind of vintage and retro and cool to the high school drama department in the town that they lived in, because they were like just this really cool old Mad Men era and 1970s groovy stuff. So we had all those boxes ready. I had the packing tape, the bubble wrap, the water, the Sharpies, the Post-it notes, having all of that ready. So when you sit down to work at your scheduled work session, you don't have to run to the here and get this and run here and get that. And oh, I'm out of boxes. Having all of those things ready to go so you can just sit down and work makes a huge difference. So figure out ahead of time what you're going to need on that scheduled work day and have it ready to go.
I like that. Great.
It seems pretty simple, but it's amazing that you can be like, oh, wait, we don't have any trash bags. Oh, wait, we don't have any boxes. And then if you have to, pile it somewhere, then you've got to move it again and you're doing the work twice.
Right. Well, and you're wanting to respect their time because they are paying for the service. So you be as efficient as possible. So yeah, I like that. Yep.
Okay, so I just alluded to it. And the number 2 thing that you want to do when you're downsizing is create a discard strategy. So you've got that full museum worth of belongings, and you're going to bring it down to this amount here. Where's it all going to go? So we know in every house, and I'm sure you've heard this everywhere, you're going to decide on the things that you're going to keep, the things that you're going to donate, the things you're going to discard, and the things that you're maybe going to sell or gift. So before you even start, it's a good time to start thinking about where those things are going to go. Let's flip on to the next one, if you would, please. Okay, so when it comes to discards, there's a lot of junk in everyone's house. My house has junk. Your house, Jennifer, has junk. Everybody has a lot of junk. There's so many different options for where to get rid of it. I'm sure everyone's heard of services like 1-800-GOT-JUNK or any of those junk calling services. But my tip and trick is to use the free resources that are available to you. So for instance, here in the city of Charlotte, you can schedule bulky item pickups where you put the items out to the curb. I think it has to be out there the morning of your regular trash pickup, and they'll come and take it for you. These are 2 separate work sessions here. The pictures that are on the left-hand side, those are 2 separate days where you can see we filled the curb with things, and the city just came and picked it up for free. Now that is something you have to schedule. You call, I believe it's 311 and set that up, but not having to pay for that to be hauled off is a huge win on your part. You'll also notice the picture of the car trunk. That's all old paint. Every house has all the old paint in it. And items like that that are called household hazardous waste really need you to put this a little bit differently. First of all, the city won't take those in 99% of the cases because they need to be disposed of properly. But here in the Charlotte area, we have a couple different recycling centers. One is the Foxhole Recycling Center. I can't remember the name of the other one. But again, if you are a resident of the county, you can go and drop your stuff off at the dump. That's usually what most people call it, is the dump, for free. And then the people that are working there will take care of getting it properly disposed of in an environmentally friendly way.
Excellent.
So looking at all of that stuff that we just had right there, that would have been, if I had to guess, 2 $500 truckloads. That probably would have been $1,200 worth of trash pickup right there if you had to buy it, from a 1-800-JUNK or something like that. Find your free resources and use those free resources. Okay, and then I see you've moved on to scheduled donation pickups. There are so many fantastic organizations here in the Carolinas and really everywhere that will come and pick up your donation items for you. So it takes a little bit of work to figure it out. We're all familiar with Salvation Army, Goodwill, but there are also a lot of great organizations that match up with what you have that can come out to your home. Now, I know we're coming out of COVID where there were a little bit more restrictions about what organizations would come to your home, which wouldn't. Things are relaxing a little bit, but I would definitely recommend calling ahead of time. So how do you find those people? I usually just recommend a Google search, donation pickup near me or donation pickup in your zip code. And that will bring up a list of organizations that can do pickups for you. Then let's say I decide I'm going to go to schedule a donation pickup with one of my personal favorite organizations, Beds for Kids, here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I pop over to their website to see what items they accept and what ones they don't. So that way you can kind of have a plan. There's nothing worse than someone coming to pick up things and you think everything's going and they can't really take it. You do a little bit of research on the front end, pick up the phone, make a phone call. I know a lot of these organizations, if you send them a picture of maybe an old sofa or a chair or something like that, they can tell you right on the via email or on the phone whether that's something they'll accept or not. But there again, you're letting items go out of your house at zero cost to you.
Right.
Especially if you can get them to come in and pick it up for you, you've just made your life a lot easier. Now, a lot of the smaller organizations aren't able to offer that service, and you have to be a little bit more creative on getting those donations picked up, or taken to them, I should say. But you can really make a very large dent in donations just by scheduling some pickups.
I like that. I know there's another one called the Kidney Foundation, I believe. That's the local one. So yeah, that's great. Thank you.
All right, this is the toughest one for families, for everyone, the sentimental items. I would recommend when you're scheduling that work session, you're going to come across birthday cards and letters and photographs and every sort of sentimental item that there is. My biggest advice is set that aside immediately and save that for the end of your work session that day. If you start the work session off and start reading greeting cards and looking at photos, you are not going to make any progress that day. You're going to get caught down in it, which is completely natural. I mean, we want to reminisce. Like, that's a part of going through everything. You want that time to reminisce and think about all of the good times that you've had, but you've also done a good job. So just kind of set those items aside, whether you have a box or whatever it is, just set those things aside and keep going through your closet, your pantry, whatever it is. And then at the end of your work session, and what I recommend too, the end of your work session after you are cleaned up for the day, then you can look at it. Mm-hmm. I like to clean up my work area every day. I maybe leave a few little things out, but to keep the house from becoming a total chaotic mess, I try to work one area, clean it up, work the next area, clean it up. That way it gives a sense of normalcy to the person who's still living in the home and a sense of completion.
Right.
So, do your sentimental items last. Do your project, clean up, and then you can look at your sentimental items maybe later in the evening, whenever it is. Take care of them. Let's look at a couple of things, Jennifer.
Okay.
Childhood items. Now, as I mentioned, this is the home of the older couple. Their son, I believe he was 44 years old. They had a one and only child. And this is his room. He has three, if I recall correctly, three children. But his room was still basically set up. You can see that sweet little inchworm toy in the right-hand picture and some of the games. Those are very difficult items for the parents to go through because every single one of those things meant something to the parents. Now, the funny thing is, the son that all of these items belong to, there wasn't as much sentimentality attached to it. Of course, he wanted some things. You know, he had his favorite T-shirt and his yearbook and things like that. But he's like, Mom, just get rid of that stuff. I don't need it. But a lot of times it's more difficult for the parent to look at it because, right, again, the reminiscing that goes on with it, it just brings back so many memories. So if you can, leave that stuff till late in the day after you've cleaned it. Otherwise, kind of hold down into the sentimentality of it, and it really impacts your productivity.
Right.
Paper and photos. Paper is the most tedious and time-consuming thing to go through because you have to look at every single piece of paper. What sort of filing systems and processes you've used throughout your life, maybe you already know where all your tax returns are and where all of your vital life documents are, where all of your letters are. But if that's not something that you've done throughout your life, it could be everywhere.
Yeah.
So, of course, as you're going through those pieces of paper, all the memories are there also. So if you can leave the paper until last, and of course the photographs to last, because they're so much fun to look at, but boy, you get really pulled down into that. So actually what I did with this couple is we would do our work session through the day and set all of the paper aside. And I think I would usually try to be going by about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And then they would have themselves, I would leave, they would have a little bit of lunch. And in the early evening, the two of them would go through the papers and the sentimental items by themselves later in the afternoon, so they could reminisce a little bit, enjoy their time, not feel like they were they weren't paying me to sit there and reminisce with them, because that's a real thing. And then they would have things ready for me the next morning. They'd say, okay, we've gone through this and we know that this can go, or this is going to stay. So save that stuff to last.
I have a question.
Sure.
Paper, especially like taxes, financial paperwork, stuff like that. Do you have a recommendation for local places that will accept, or will they come pick up some of that for like shredding documents and stuff like that?
Always 100% of the time recommend shredding any financial document, life document, anything like that. I have had people say, oh, you can just throw them in the dumpster, and I can't. I just, I'm so fearful of doing someone getting a hold of that. Yes, you can schedule, you can set up local services. Pro Shred will come out to your home. There are a few other ones. You can usually do a Google search like Shred at Home near me, or Shred at Home and a zip code. It's obviously going to cost more if they have to come to you. Now, if
Right.
or box it, I actually, bankers boxes are what I prefer to put things in for shredding, just because they're secure and they weigh about 20 pounds when they're full. You can take them to any number of places. I usually, truthfully, end up going to Staples or the UPS store. They have secure disposal sites there, and you pay by the pound. And of course, one thing to keep an eye out for if you're in the process for this now, look for free shredding events near me. You can do a Google search again, free shredding near me. A lot of times libraries and banks will do free shredding events. And that generally, when that happens, they will say, bring 2 boxes to shred for free, or 3. They'll put some sort of limit on it, but connections to do that, absolutely do that. Otherwise, you can schedule someone to come out to your home, or, being a certified professional organizer, I'm actually ethically bound when I take shredding for people, because I have a lot of clients that are older and aren't getting around. I will take shredding for clients, and I actually photograph myself showing up to the place and handing it over, and the receipt, and it being put in the bin, just to really assure clients that I'm taking care of their items in the way that they expect and deserve, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Well, those are top 3 tips. Obviously, that doesn't cover everything, but if you can remember to schedule your work sessions, deal with your sentimental items last, and have a donation strategy, you're going to be ahead of the game. If you want to call and talk with me about it, I would be happy to speak with you. There's my phone number right there. My name is Candi Ruppert, and you can reach me at 704-9. Whether you've got questions or need to set something up, or even just need a recommendation here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, I'm happy to talk with anybody. Jennifer, thank you for having me today, and I guess we can open it if there are any questions.
Thank you, Candi. Well, I'm so glad we recorded this so we can send it out to folks. Like I said, I think my biggest takeaway, which I never even thought about, is making it more like a task-oriented, almost like a scheduled visit, like a doctor visit, like prioritizing it and treating it like business. So you kind of go through and you say, okay, we're going to take this closet today, and we're going to go take this other closet tomorrow, and we're going to allow this much time for each task. And the sentimental stuff can really get in the way and really sidetrack you and take you off course. So just saying that in itself, wait till the last, don't go through it as you're doing it, put it to the side and do it last. I like that a lot. So
it really does help people out a lot. It can be difficult to do, you know, you have it in your mind and it can be a little bit difficult to do, but if you can really kind of train yourself to do it that way, it will make all the difference.
Excellent. Well, I will go ahead and end this webinar, and I will make sure folks get this information. Have a wonderful day, Candi.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for having me. And everybody give me a call if you need some help with anything.